In October 2022, US President Joe Biden had this to say about Pakistan. He called it one of the most dangerous nations in the world due to the lack of cohesion in its nuclear security and command and control procedures. Now, former US President Barack Obama hinted at this threat way back in 2010. He said the single biggest threat to US security, both short-term, medium-term and long-term, would be the possibility of a terrorist organization obtaining a nuclear weapon. Now, the nation that has both nuclear weapons and a dangerous mix of terrorists was and remains Pakistan. Just yesterday, the Pakistan Taliban kidnapped 18 employees of the Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission. Now, Pakistan is one of the only 9 nuclear-armed nations that has terrorists, the multiple terrorist groups that roam unfettered. It has the world's 6th largest nuclear arsenal, about 170 weapons. But this incident yesterday is possibly the first instance of any country having its nuclear technicians kidnapped by terrorists. How worried should we be? Joining me to discuss this are Dr. Rajiv Nayan of the MP-IDSA, General Sanjay Meston, and of course my colleague Deepak Bhadana. Welcome to the News9 Plus show. Dr. Nayan, I want to start by asking you this. What we are seeing play out in Pakistan over the last couple of hours, it's the stuff of Hollywood movies or paperback thrillers. Terrorists capture a nuclear weapon and they use it against a Western target, or worst case, our cities. How worried should we really be of the developments that are playing out in Pakistan right now? The fact that terrorists are running amok and they're kidnapping nuclear technicians. Are Pakistan's nuclear weapons and its facilities secure?
Look, this is a matter of concern for long. And this is a perennial issue vis-a-vis Pakistani nuclear arsenal or nuclear stockpile. And as you have rightly pointed out, it has been going on for long. And Obama too, before that, when President Bush, and now when Biden, and now once Trump comes to takes over, obviously this will be a question for him also. But unfortunate part is that it is not just Indian problem. It is not just a threat to Indian security or to us. Now, and they are realizing, and they are stating also, they are giving statements that this is a problem which will affect United States of America and other parts of the world also. Yet, they are bluffed by Pakistanis, and now and all, then we hear that there is a contingency plan. Yes. But again, we just get the statements, not by one, but several officials from United States that no nuclear arsenals are safe and secure, so nothing to worry about. And that should worry us. The country which can really influence Pakistan and the Pakistani system establishment is sending mixed signals. And this mixed signal is a problem.
This mixed signal is a problem indeed, Dr. Nayan. And General Meston, again, we've been talking about this for several years now. There have been in the past red flags that have been raised, like Dr. Nayan mentioned, the fact that there have been Pakistani nuclear scientists who've been talking to Al-Qaeda. There have been attacks by the Taliban on Pakistani nuclear facilities about 15 years back. But this represents a new level of threat. The fact that you have Pakistani technicians that are actually kidnapped by them. Do you think this is of enormous concern for us more than the United States? We should be the ones really worried about nuclear technicians being kidnapped by terrorist organizations.
Sandeep, good evening. Very pertinent question asked. Firstly, yes, I would say it is of great concern to India because we are the immediate neighbors. But more than that, also it is of concern to the entire world, especially West. Now, since we are talking about the nuclear weapons of Pakistan falling into terrorist hands, I would go a little step ahead. Who's controlling these terrorists? I think most of the terrorists are controlled, trained by Pakistan. The Pakistan army is involved, the ISI is involved, and therefore they are the true, I would say, the handle or the governing structure behind all these Taliban movement. Except, yes, at times, like now there are fissures with TTP, there are fissures with Afghan Taliban, but then there is a Haqqani network, which on date is part of so-called Taliban. They are also in part in the governance, and you are
Right.
aware
Yes.
one of the terrorists, Khaliluddin Haqqani, who
Yes.
was the Minister of Tribal Affairs and Refugees. He was
Yes.
assassinated in December 24. Now, why was he assassinated? This is also a question mark. And then is Sirajuddin Haqqani, who is incidentally the Home Minister looking after the Afghan internal affairs and
Yes.
internal security. Now, why is the United States? In fact, yesterday only there was a news item that the United States now want to remove Pakistan from
Yes.
the non-NATO alliance partnership. So, therefore, these are issues which are now concerning the Americans also. And
Yes.
President Trump in 2018, I remember when the Doha peace talks were on, he had made a very valid statement. Pakistan is a state which is a state of lies and deceit. This is
Right.
what India has also been telling. So it cannot be
Lies
trusted.
and deceit cannot be trusted indeed. I'm going to come to you with another question, General Meston. But, for the moment, Deepak, you've been studying the ID cards of these technicians who've been captured by the Taliban, Pakistan Taliban. Tell us what we've seen so far and who are these technicians and what grade in the organization are they?
So, to begin with, most of these aren't really scientists. They are technical assistants.
Right.
This is a lower pay grade, probably getting something like 40, 50 grand a month. But there is an important thing here. Most of these people have worked in the organization for at least 6 years, which means that they've had a deep peek into the Pakistani nuclear weapons ecosystem. Now, for those in the know, they would understand that Pakistan has dispersed its weapons.
Right.
These people will therefore, in 6 years, have been posted at multiple places across the nation, and they will know where these weapons are. In fact, there's one gentleman amongst them by the name of Mazullah Khan.
Yes.
His is the only ID card with the tag SPD on it,
Right.
which is the Special Plans Division.
Right.
Now, these
Strategic
people,
Plans Division.
Strategic Plans Division, my bad. So now these people are highly vetted. These
Yes.
people, most of them come from the Pakistani army, and this is specifically meant to safeguard the Pakistani nuclear weapons. Now, were the wrong people to get hold of these individuals, the kind of intelligence and know-how they would leak out
Yes.
would be devastating, if it were to be put to bad use.
Right, if they're put to bad use. But let's ask Dr. Nayan about the importance of these technicians that you mentioned, Deepak, the 18 people who've been captured by the Pak Taliban, including that one person from the Strategic Plans Division or the SPD. Dr. Nayan, you studied the Pakistan nuclear weapons program very closely. Explain to us what the SPD really is all about and how important would these technicians be for, say, an intelligence organization. If they were to interrogate them, what kind of intelligence would they get about Pakistan's nuclear weapons program?
Look, it is very interesting and hilarious at the same time. If you just read the documents or the statements or the papers issued by Pakistani officials, let me tell, or those who are involved with SPD,
Yes.
they said they'll paint a very comforting picture
Right.
that how they wait, how there are three-layered security, and how this three-layered security is well maintained by Pakistani establishment, especially nuclear security establishment,
Yes.
and all this happened. SPD means second or third layer of security, or the first layer of security where surveillance and intelligence takes place. Means all layers of security may have been breached first. Second, as far as SPD is concerned, SPD is basically the nodal center. There's a National Command Authority and then the Strategic Force Command. So this basically maintains many things. This is where policy making is done. They know about where all facilities are, and they write the language of Pakistani nuclear policy, strategy, everything operational things. So they know everything.
Right.
So as you rightly pointed out, they know, and in fact, a study was made by United States, plus it has somewhat been endorsed by one of the officials who had served on SPD, that there are 15 vulnerable points, means sites, or you can say bunkers, whatever you like to call
Right.
it, which are well established, well known, and all are known by terrorists also. So
Right.
these are the things. And what does it show? That terrorists know who these people are, who these scientists are, who these technicians are. What technician may sound okay, So this is low level, some grand earning individuals,
Right.
but they have got the information. They
Right.
have got the information that you also pointed out, or your colleague pointed out, and we all know that they have got dispersed nuclear arsenals. There are many bunkers, and it is estimated that they have got around 100 bunkers to somehow escape Indian possible potential attack. And these are the areas of concern, and these areas of concerns are not paid well attention to by the Pakistani establishment.
Right.
They try to console the world that no, everything is under control, it is centralized and nothing will happen. But it shows, and now many reports are coming and Pakistanis are endorsing.
Yes.
Once you go to the recruitment centers, you will find that slogans, religious slogans or jihadi kinds of slogans are being raised. They are basically being prepared to fight against India.
Right.
In the process of see what they are doing.
Yes.
They are just harming themselves. So this network, this relationship has been existing, denied, but has been existing. This is demonstrating the people who know well about
Yes.
all the activities can only do such kind of act, or you can say the kidnapping which we are witnessing.
Yes.
And like frequently their officials are arrested or shown to the world that they were involved with leaking information to jihadi elements. This is not just earlier Basruddin Mahmood or Chaudhry Abdul Majid.
Yes.
Even later, many brigadiers, many people are called. So let us not go by ranks. Let us be alarmed by what is really happening.
Absolutely, and we are alarmed. And the prospect that you mentioned, Dr. Nayan, the fact is that the program, Pakistan's most important strategic program, seems to have been penetrated, as you've red flagged. But General Meston, Pakistan has got a nuclear program that's ever increasing. It's possibly one of the fastest growing nuclear weapons program of any country of its size. And while they're expanding these uranium enrichment infrastructure, and it's got this stockpile, it's creating multiple centers to process plutonium. And as Dr. Nayan mentioned, they've spread these facilities all across the country. As a security professional, do you believe that this increases the vulnerability of these infrastructure, particularly as Dr. Nayan was mentioning, that the fact that the program itself has been penetrated? There are several officials who are possibly working hand in glove with the terrorists, and possibly explains why they're being kidnapped now by the busload. Is there some contingency plan that India needs to put into place to factor these kind of threats in?
Yeah, Sandeep. Firstly, I'll just complete my previous statement. So why I was stating that Pakistan Army and ISI controls the terrorists, because
Yes.
obviously they control all the nuclear weapons also, and
Right.
therefore it leak with terrorism. Pakistan has always used terrorism as a state policy, as a
Yes.
foreign policy. Now it will also start using nuclear blackmail also as a weapon of foreign policy.
But explain this, General Meston, nuclear blackmail. By nuclear blackmail, you mean that the Pakistan state will say that if you don't pay us XYZ amount,
Absolutely.
our nuclear weapons will be taken over. That is something that, it's been spoken about the Pakistan military in the past as well. It's the only military that's holding a gun to its head and says that if you don't give me money, I'll shoot myself. Something of that scenario is what you're painting.
Yeah, they can play both scenarios. One scenario is which you have already highlighted. Second scenario is when Pakistan is, in a verge of collapse.
Yes.
The way it is economic collapse, and every way they're even being now hit by the Afghan Taliban, TTP. West is cutting off the aid, military funding has been now cut off by America yesterday.
Yes.
Statement. So when they get cornered, what is the last resort? What did Bhutto say? That we will eat even grass, but we'll produce a nuclear weapon. So
Yes.
that is this can be used to demand things from the international community, including India. Ki ye karo, otherwise I will use a nuclear weapon against you. So both options are
Right.
likely.
Right.
And next point is the army also has fissures.
Yes.
I will be surprised that since we are talking about security of these installations, and which you rightly asked, they are also in disposal here. There are fissures within the armed forces, and it can happen. Like for example, a SSG unit led by
Yes.
some Colonel Saab who's commanding the unit. He just goes. He is not in line with the thinking of the present establishment of like the army chief.
Right.
He can just decide to take over some complex. So
Yes.
any possibility exists in Pakistan, the way it is so unstable. Anything can happen, and therefore, rightly asked, it is a matter of concern for India. Now,
Right.
what contingencies can be drawn? Really, the only contingency is, I would not say contingency, the only preventive methodology is that along with the West, along with NATO, along with
Yes.
all the countries, we have to have a very good understanding of the Pakistan, the systems, the intelligence sharing, because tomorrow it should not happen that at some, time they can use it against anyone, or even
Yes.
just threat, or even a, minor small tactical nuclear weapon.
Right.
Because this they are going to use. The way Pakistan today is, it's failing everywhere. It's a failed state. So
Yes.
once you have failed totally, the last resort is I will do anything for my survival.
Right, I'll do anything for my survival, indeed, and that's it's a scarier, prospect of what you've just painted this scenario, General Meston and Dr. Nayan. 9 nuclear-armed states in the world, and only one country where the military directly controls nuclear weapons. Pakistan does have a nuclear command authority of the kind that many other countries have, but this is possibly believed to be the only country where the Pakistan military not only controls the delivery systems and the nuclear warheads, but also could potentially decide when to use these nuclear weapons. And that's something that's illustrated by the use of tactical weapons, which they claim to have fielded. But we've heard in the past of the West coming up with contingency plans. Say, after 9/11, there was this talk of the United States coming up with contingency plans to seize nuclear weapons, Pakistan's nuclear weapons, before rogue actors take it over, terrorist organizations, for instance. The scenario that General Meston points, the fact that if it was willfully doing this, if the Pakistan military was actually complicit in this, it paints a completely different range of possibilities. What is the scenario that you think we should be prepared for?
First, let me comment on American contingency plan.
Yeah.
Like it was talked about after 2009/11, which we generally say, September 11, 2001 incidents. And US Congress really grilled the US administration. What will you do with a country, as you rightly pointed out, which really hobnobs with terrorists and jihadi elements?
Right.
And Taliban, of course, was one of its army, you can say, or it's one of its tools.
Right.
So then they told they had plan, and actually they did not spell out. They did not officially put it forward. So what happened? So there were guesses, because they had some contingency plan. SEALs, double SEALs were there. They were prepared for basically Soviet contingency. There was one unit which was prepared for North Korean contingency.
Right.
So on the basis of all the information, there was a speculation in media, in the public domain.
Yes.
And we may have something like that. And especially after Osama bin Laden was killed, and it was talked about what could they do with nuclear weapons if suppose terrorists,
Yes.
the way terrorists are well penetrated in the Pakistani establishment. So it was talked about, but what happened when in around 2015 also, again there was this talk happening there.
Right.
And nothing was revealed. There's just talks. So Pakistan came out with a very strong statement, and that was very interesting. It said
Yes.
that Pakistan is well capable of defending its strategic assets and
Right.
its sovereignty. Means it will fight against America also. That was quite interesting. So, but it could be brave talk. We should, there could be, and what could be this contingency plan involved. So, of course, intelligence will be one element.
Yes.
Second was planes, aircrafts, and many parachutes. So all details came in. So I am not going into details. Now I am coming to the question which you have raised. What should India do? I think we have to have our assets. We too have our information assets, technical assets. We must somehow focus these assets. And second, about America. America is the most well-equipped country as far information is concerned.
Yes.
And it developed its assets in the sense that information gathering ever since it went nuclear, not just since 1940s. it had tested it. It has got the capability to read cloud and can make an assessment of where all nuclear weapons are headed.
Right.
So that's there. So emission of any nuclear like weapons, uranium can be
Yes.
easily uh, caught by American technical capabilities. But what Pakistanis may be doing, this is what is generally guessed,
Yes.
that they must be suppressing the emission.
Right.
And so, but still there will be many signatures coming out. So we have to work with all the countries, and as General has rightly pointed out, that this is not just Indian problem. Yes, so we are
Yes.
Pakistan's neighbor. But if we see the recent curbs, I have written an article for strategic analysis and IDSA, MP-IDSA, and I said that recent curbs, especially and if you read the entity list and all the organizations put on that, you will find, and the statement, the rationale given by United States, it says that this is a security threat to United States also.
Yes.
Of late, they are realizing. So we have to work with all the like-minded countries, and we have, I hope we will request for United States and other countries.
Absolutely. There's something to talk about with the United States, Dr. Nayan, the fact that strategic cooperation with the US could now possibly extend to these scenarios that you and General Meston have pointed out, all emanating from possibly the world's migraine hotspot, Deepak. Pakistan never ceases to amaze. The scenarios that are coming out of there, literally you're rewriting, crime thriller and Hollywood fiction in our backyard.
The only thing is that the stakes this time are much too high, and the world better pay attention.
Yes, and one just hopes the world pays closer attention to this problem of Pakistan's nuclear weapons, possibility of Pakistan's nuclear weapons being taken over by non-state actors and terrorists. But that's all we have time for today. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on the News 9 Plus show.